If you had burning jet fuel on your hands, you would have to walk into the kitchen, get a towel, and wipe it off. Or you might eventually have burns. There is no amount of jet fuel in this world. All the jet fuel in the world will never burn a single piece of steel. Here, and it's very simple proof. Go down to Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards or whatever your local store is, Sears, and go to the tool department and tell them jet fuel is kerosene and ethylene glycol. Tell them you want to buy a torch to cut through steel. You want a kerosene torch. Tell them that. I've got to cut down a 100-story building, and I want to use a torch. Can you show me where the kerosene torches are?
Now let me. When I put out this whole thing on the cover of my March issue of the Free American magazine, which was distributed nationally at Barnes & Noble and Books A Million in 2004. That was on the cover of my March 2004 issue. You can see the cover up on my website, freeamerican.com. But the mistake that I made was referring to it on the air as an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning. And the next month, the story broke in New York Times about the NSA being allowed to tap everybody's cell phones, but NSA didn't tap anybody's phones. That was done by two companies called Converse and Amdocs, which were headquartered in Israel. But the people that bought the buildings, leased the buildings, insured them to the hilt, were Larry Silverstein, Jewish. And I had his quote on the cover.
Right. The World Trade Center, the down payment in buying it just before 9/11, Larry Silverstein's company paid $124 million for the World Trade Center, a building that could not legally be demolished, but was filled with asbestos and required a remodeling. Now they're trying to say it would have cost $500 million. The remodeling and removal of asbestos in the World Trade Center would have taken 4 years with no income and cost $1.5 billion. That's why the buildings were bought for 1/1000th the cost of the land they were on. The buildings were free. The land was nearly given away. The lease on the land. If you put up so little was paid for the land, if you put a strip mall up there, it would have been profitable. You could put up a Dollar General, a McDonald's, and a Taco Bell, and what Larry Silverstein paid for the land would have been profitable. What he cleared on this investment was between $5 and $7 billion that we know of. When it's done, the amount will be up to $20 billion. And of course, no one had to sit on huge office buildings with massive crews inside cleaning asbestos out for 4 years. And what do you do with it? It has to go into secure landfills. You can't even remove it. It has to be bagged, sealed. It has to be, well, it's a toxic substance. You can't get any in the air, none. And of course, instead, the buildings, they didn't fall down. Now, of course, let's just say what's obvious here. If you've got a 110-story building, despite what popular mechanics said, the real structure of the World Trade Center involved a powerful endoskeleton and a secondary exoskeleton. These are the most powerful buildings ever built, made to withstand the crash of up to 1,500 aircraft. If they were ever to fall, they would have fallen over. They're so tall that some of the building would have landed in Brooklyn. They would have fallen over. There is absolutely no imaginable way, unless Well, and this is a critical point with Sandy Hook. If you use either a weapon that doesn't exist, some people claim it was a death ray. Do they exist? Yeah, actually they do, and we're going to be talking about that.
Okay.
Could they have used nuclear weapons? But they don't. But don't they leave mushroom clouds? Not anymore. We have pure fission. They call them nuclear demolitions. They are made to destroy buildings. One of my friends, who is a special forces colonel, by the way, is a nuclear weapons officer, and he has parachuted on a number of occasions, carrying backpacks with nuclear munitions. Has done it has made halo jumps with nuclear munitions. And so we're talking about the founder of the U.S. Halo team here. It's a regular thing. Navy SEALs and Special Forces, Marines and Force Reconnaissance do halo jumps with nuclear weapons that fit in their backpack. These used to, years ago, weigh up to 80 pounds. 80 pounds, not 8,000, 80. Used to. Now they weigh 20. They go in a backpack, and these are big enough to take down a building, to evaporate a dam. That's what they were for. These things were designed in case the Russians, the Soviets had gone into Germany. They were there to blow the bridges, to blow dams, to leave, to destroy Soviet Army tank units. These weren't small nuclear weapons. These are hydrogen bombs, not just A-bombs. And right now, we have reasonable reports that they are small enough not just to put in a briefcase, but a child's lunchbox. They're smaller than a small thermos. Laser fired. And anyone who tells you they're not laser fired, get some denials. If you've got members of the press out there, go to military sources and ask if they have fusion-only, laser-fired nuclear weapons. And then, of course, ask how many times they've been used in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we're told 16 times we know of, up to 40 times we've heard. 16 times we've used nuclear weapons in Iraq and Afghanistan. Matter of fact, nuclear weapons are so inexpensive, so controllable, so hideable now, that before anybody would use a truck bomb, they would simply use a small nuclear weapon. There's no reason to try to smuggle a truck bomb that someone could pick up the nitrate vapors from at 500 feet. When you can put the entire explosive in a tin can, have a small child twist a knob on it, drop it somewhere, something no more complex than a kitchen timer, and it'll evaporate a city block. And every time we have one of these terror attacks, that's what we have, like in Bali. We have an area, large areas of town, simply evaporate, disappear. These aren't explosives. This isn't dynamite. It's not fertilizer. It's not TNT. But back to Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook was that they knew they could get away with Sandy Hook because the press never asked questions. One of the most obvious things here was the school nurse. The school nurse's first statement, the only way we knew that the shooter was Adam Lanza is because the school nurse told the press that she saw Adam Lanza walk into her office carrying, well, she didn't say carrying anything. Walk into her office. And she looked him in the eye, and then he turned around and closed the door. That's her statement. 12 hours later, she said that she was hiding under her desk, could see under her desk, and someone walked into her office, and she could see their shoes. Now, she was the only source we had, the only source for Adam Lanza. for the identification of Adam Lanza. No other source other than someone who rescinded their statement.
Now, what about the witness that came on the TV that said the children came over to his place? This is the guy that lives right beside the fire department next to the school, and instead of the kids going into the fire department where they'd be safe, he took them inside his house where he's got all the stuffed teddy bears. You know, this looks like a typical pedophile, and I believe in our last conversation you mentioned that perhaps these children aren't dead at all. Perhaps they've been sent out to Saudi Arabia or El Salvador or something like that. And you got a closed coffin here. Parents are showed pictures of their children and never allowed to see the children. I mean, this doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, and see, this is the whole point. Once someone has lied to you, we have been lied to. Everything about Sandy Hook has been a lie. And we have children that no one has seen. We have children that no parent has seen. Not only that, we have parents that haven't been identified. Many of these people, we don't have any record of who they are, where they live. They've never sent an email. They don't have jobs. They don't exist. Any other time something is going on, we have a record of this. And it's simply, everybody watches television. On TV, and it works in real life, there are surveillance cameras in almost every business. Every bank has an ATM that films every car that walks with it. You're on constant video. Because memory is very cheap and bandwidth is cheap, HD video is everywhere, even in small towns. I've got friends with stores that are wired to the gills with HD video. Well, in 20 years, no one has ever gotten a video of Adam Lanza. Now, Adam Lanza and his mother supposedly belong to sportsmen's clubs and fire assault weapons. There isn't a single sportsman's club that I know of, an indoor club, and that's all they have in Connecticut. You can't fire a high-powered rifle out in the open in Connecticut. Every sportsman's club, and if you know this, you show up at, you pay your membership, they give you a key, you show up with friends at 10 o'clock at night at guests, you bring out your guns, your targets, whatever. You're on video the whole time. Insurance requires it. You shoot at a gun store. You're on video the whole time. And try going to a sportsman's club, go in the building, and leave your brass on the floor, leave the targets up, leave the target scraps all over the floor. The next morning you'll get a call from the board of directors asking you to bring down your key, because your membership will be revoked, because the next morning they will have reviewed your video, and you'll get this talking to. You didn't wear eye protection, that's a rule. You didn't wear ear protection, that's a rule. You didn't sweep up your target scraps, that's a rule. You didn't pick up your brass, that's a rule. We watched how you handled the weapons. You guys were turning around with loaded guns.
Okay, let me stop you right there, because we've got a video of the police finding, supposedly the police, and we don't know anything here, whether what is really true, but we've got a video of the police supposedly finding the weapon that was in the trunk of Adam Lanza's car. We don't know whether it was Adam Lanza's car, because that turned out to be a car for a drug dealer or somebody else with violations. And you got this cop fondling this weapon, jacking it, putting his hands all over it, and he ain't wearing gloves. What kind of investigation, what kind of cop would do that?
Well, first of all, the weapon, if you take a look at the video, and I'm asking all of our listeners to take a look at the video, and you do that by, well, if you are listening on computer, just stare at the screen and wonder why the two crazy people aren't showing you a video. And then if you're listening on a radio right now, stare at the radio and imagine this. But what you'll see is you'll see a police officer reaching in the trunk of a car. We don't know whose car this is, but the There's only one round in the weapon. The weapon is a shotgun, either a Benelli M2 or an inexpensive imported clone of the Benelli. There are several companies that make them. It's a small, very short barrel. That's why I think it might be a Benelli, like the ones the Marine Corps uses. It has only one round in it. It's a semi-automatic shotgun, and they cycle that single round through by pulling back the slide. There's a slide handle on the right side, where the police officer, you can see doing this multiple times. What we have no record of is the Bushmaster 223 rifle ever existing. Matter of fact, there are no photographs of any kind. And remember, there is no active investigation of this. There is no investigation. This has not been declared a crime. This is a closed case now.
Now, one more thing here. One more thing here. The closed crime. This is pretty incredible. But the police officer, Connecticut police officer, got up and said, well, you know, if you're a blogger, if you're on the internet, if you say anything about this case, if it doesn't come from us, if it doesn't come from the law enforcement, if it doesn't come from the FBI, then we can prosecute you. We'll come after you. What about that?
I'm a member of the press. I'm certainly radio and TV. When I get off here, I'm going to be on Russia Today. I'm certainly, I publish as much as anyone, but I count as a member of the press. I operate under the First Amendment. I have two amendments I use. The First Amendment allows me to say what I see. Now, there are limitations to free speech. You can't scream fire in a movie theater. But I can certainly tell you that I have a police, when I hear a police officer that tells dozens of lies to the press, that either he's extremely misinformed, and these are people who were misinformed days later. This investigation was closed 72 hours. By December 17th, this investigation had ended. There was no active investigation of any kind after December 17th. No one was being questioned, no one was being sought, no evidence was being examined. If there were if the police had admitted that there was possibly a criminal conspiracy, which of course they, after the first hour or so, they closed that down. There is no investigation. There has been no investigation for nearly a month. Nothing. No one is being questioned. There are no hours being racked up. Find me a law enforcement agency and you tell me, what are they doing? Who are they questioning today? Are they searching the internet? Are they searching the school? No. Are they talking to anyone? No. Are they examining the crime scene? They had 72 hours to do that. If they were going to turn out a ballistics report of the shooting, the FBI could have done so. It would have taken 6 man-hours. And it would have been done. If you're seeking suspects, if there's a possibility, and we know there's a possibility, that there were multiple shooters. We know there were multiple shooters because they were seen on satellites shooting their way into school. 3 people. We know there were. But if they were actually being sought, and this weren't being covered up, the FBI would have sent in their ballistics team immediately. They would have gotten their ballistics report immediately. Not a month later, not 2 months later. When you're seeking criminals, you don't wait 2 months.
All right, now let me stop you right there, because this to me is the biggest problem. The FBI and the Connecticut Police Department have to be totally implicated in this. There was a Homeland Security drill that was happening at the same time a few blocks away. So this whole thing was a drill. This whole thing was staged, obviously, and the FBI and the Connecticut Police Department have to be implicated in this. Is that an accurate statement?
Right. Here's the classic. We're told that the mother was a prepper, a doomsday prepper.
Yeah.
However, nothing was found in her house. Not one single item was found in her house that a doomsday prepper would have. No evidence. We were told that she belonged to shooting ranges. We don't have the names. We don't have any video. We have no evidence right now. We have absolutely no evidence that a crime was committed at all. And there is no active investigation. This has been written off as a murder-suicide. There is no police investigation. There is no Blue Ribbon Commission investigating it. There is no credible authority that has been tasked with an investigation of Sandy Hook. Tell me who they are. Who is running the investigation? And don't tell me it's the Connecticut State Police. Simply, if there's an investigation going on today, tell me the names of the officers involved, and I would like to see their worksheets. Where have they driven today? Since their expense sheets are available through Freedom of Information, and any reporter can get that, I want to know the name of everyone involved in the investigation today.
But listen, Gordon,
talk to what they did.
Gordon, has any reporters or any cameraman or anybody been allowed in the school itself to document any of the bullet holes, any of the ricochets, any of the
No.
Nothing. Nobody's allowed. The school is sealed.
All of that would have been released. I can tell you this, that if you were to rob a bank, there are 28 people, the video of you doing that would be released by the police within 1 hour, and there would be a warning on the news. This may be shocking video, but here's what we have. It would be released. We don't have anything. And then, of course, let's talk about the school. The school had a video system. Now, what's been released informally by the police, they're saying that the video system at the school had been disabled the day before. But here's what you'll notice. When police release statements to the press, it's a police spokesman. They never have a name. When there's information that comes in from a source, they only have first names, not last names. It's always contradictory. That Adam Lanza came to the school the day before. That Adam Lanza was angry at the school psychologist because his mother was going to send him to a special school in Washington. The police said that. The police talked about. The police also, of course, said his mother was a teacher. And then what I'd like to know is who told the school nurse to lie to the news about seeing Adam Lanza, and then to go on television and correct that.
All right, now let me interrupt you. We got 5 minutes here, or 4 minutes left in the show, and I want let me ask you about the Aurora shooting. Now, this person has been captured. This person is on trial right now, supposedly. What happened there? What is going on with that, and what are we going to find out from this trial, if anything?
It's not just Aurora. Let's take it back to the Dr. Hassan Ford Hood shooting.
Okay.
Dr. Hassan, this is an Army psychiatrist, murdered 13 people in Fort Hood a year ago. Now, Dr. Hassan, however, was the Bush administration's liaison between Homeland Security and the Department of Veterans Affairs. That he regularly met with the head of Homeland Security, that he attended specialized security briefings at George Washington University. We have the records of who briefed him, and it reads like a list of Mossad neocons. That Dr. Hassan was an integral part of the security apparatus of the Bush administration, and we can prove it. And all of these documents have been taken off the internet, except the fact, of course, I have them on hard drives, that unless you've got a magic magnetic ray gun or whatever, you're not going to get. But in each one of these shootings, and there are, this is the point, there are mass murderers out there. What there aren't, there are no non-military trained shooters. Now this is the other issue we found. We do know there is an investigation going on, and on January 2nd, tied, and this is for your audience here, tied to the Sandy Hook shooting, 2 arrests of Sandy Hook suspects were made in New York City in an apartment in Greenwich Village where they had trace amounts of explosives, and that's what's left after hundreds of pounds of explosives were removed. Sawed-off shotgun, regular shotgun, and many 9mm magazines, high capacity. But these are magazines for weapons that weren't there. This was a safe house. How do you have magazines for weapons you don't have? Who took the weapons away? That means others were involved. The arrests, and these people are currently locked up, and they are citizens of the state of Israel. They are IDF trained. They're currently under lock and key, and the source of their arrest were satellite tracking of vehicles from Sandy Hook to New York City. That's how they were found. So there have been arrests, and we're being told nothing. That's why the arrest in Greenwich Village with the weapons, with the explosives, isn't being called terrorism, but the people are locked up. These are Sandy Hook arrests, more Sandy Hook arrests. And we expect that the people who were arrested, and a sawed-off shotgun can get you 20 years in New York, that they're going to be released and flown to Israel. We predict it.
And meanwhile, we've got 10 bills about gun control introduced in Congress right now over this whole incident. And Obama, they're asking for a 3rd term for Obama because he is cooperating in this whole thing.
Well, one thing we have no evidence of is no one has ever seen a Bushmaster 223 rifle. You have no picture of one. One was not removed from the school. We have no photograph of one being taken from the trunk of a car. That was a shotgun. We have no proof that one existed, nor is there video of any of the Lanza family at shooting ranges with a Bushmaster rifle. We have no count on brass. Instead, we have news reports given long after. These are reports that come from multiple law enforcement sources that 4 pistols were found in the school, that no rifle of any kind was found. It was in every newspaper, and it was released days later.
All right. We're out of time here, Gordon. Let me tell you something, folks. You find one other show out there, one other